Hello and welcome back to the RattleMind Podcast. I'm Rye, and as always, my co-host joining me is...
And she.
Look at that. Her enthusiasm for her own name has gone down during the recording.
Eventually, it's gonna be like, Panchi, why do you keep doing this to me?
But today we're going to talk about pets, at least the ones that we've had or have experience with. And to start this off, I guess we'll start with my own pet history. One of my favorite pets was when we used to own horses.
Oh, they're so amazing.
Now, my parents have had quarter horses, which are like this one with the funky feet there. And they are huge. They're
Oh
the
my gosh.
quarter horses are the horses that you would when what was it? Anheuser-Busch. The horses that are drawing that carriage are quarter horses.
Oh, okay. I thought that looked familiar.
So that's where you see those.
I rode a similar horse called it was a Belgian horse or Belgium,
Yep, there
something like
are. Yep,
that.
Belgians. They're
Uh,
they're
it was
fairly large as well. Yeah.
they're huge. So I went to horse camp for a few years, and I've always been like kind of a taller, thick girl, right? And they look at me and assigned me a horse, and they're like, "You look like a Nick girl," and I was like, "Okay." And I meet Nick, and he is this beast of a horse, this beautiful Belgian, and he was so good. He was half blind, and he was amazing, just incredible horse.
Yeah. I mean, horses are by far one of the prettiest animals. I mean, just looking at how their muscles are formed.
They're so smart.
I mean, there's reasons why we have winged horses and horses with horns.
Yeah. My next word to describe them was gonna be mystical.
Yep. But the two horses that I actually grew up with were Dakota and Chewie. Chewie was named after, Chewbacca from Star Wars.
Awesome.
Dakota we got because he was retiring from being a barrel racing horse, which means he could run full speed and take a 90-degree corner at full speed without, even much as a thought of slowing down. I mean,
Nice.
he was my favorite of the two because I loved going like full gallop and then all of a sudden whipping back around and coming
Mm-hmm.
back doing basically a 180. It was so much
That's cool
fun.
as hell.
Chewy, though, on the other hand, we actually got him when he was young. So he was like, I don't know, a year or two. So he was a fairly young horse. Might have been older than that. I cannot remember because I was young at the time. And he was a trail horse. We trained him up to be a trail horse. So you'd ride him down trails. He had perfectly fine doing that. I mean, you never had to worry about falling off of him because he was that
Mm.
stable.
Yeah.
But like I said, the difference in riding the two of them is just like night and day.
Mm-hmm.
One, you go whipping around corners. The other likes to just go at a trot and, yay, we're going to go boingity, 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 boingity in the saddle. But you get on Dakota and it's like, I hope you have seatbelts. Oh, but yeah,
Keep your arms and legs in the in the
exactly.
vehicle at all times. This is kind of worse.
And of course, I always rode Western saddle. I never rode an English saddle.
Yeah. I can't remember if I think my aunt who um owned horses, I think she had an English saddle that I tried when I was younger, but I always loved doing uh riding Western.
Yeah, this here you go. This is more of what you see in a Western saddle.
Yeah.
There we go. Something like
Little
that.
known fact, they taught us at that horse camp, and this blew my mind, okay? Little known fact, you don't actually use the horn of the saddle to mount the horse. You use that tuft of like mane at the very base of the neck, like on the back, right by the horn. You use that to pull yourself up because it's like there's no nerves there. They don't feel it.
I've never done that.
Really? That's what we were taught to do. We grabbed a tuft of their mane at the very base, right by the saddle. They don't feel it, and you use that to hoist yourself up.
Well, yeah, that's where if you're climbing on, yeah. Okay, yeah. Now I get what you're saying.
Oh,
Yeah. The reason you don't
yeah.
grab onto the saddle, like the saddle horn to get up, is because the saddle could be a little too loose and you're just
Yeah.
pulling it completely underneath the horse. So, yeah.
Horses are clever, so what they'll do is they'll inhale while you're putting a saddle on to expand their belly. That way, when you think you're done, they exhale,
Yep.
and then all that, there's all that like gap, and that's why most saddles you can like adjust while you're on it because if it like rocks back and forth too much, because they thought they were being clever. Um, and if they do that when you grab that horn and they did that, you could be like flipping it upside down, Robin Hood Men in Tights style.
Right. Ooh, I like that saddle. No. I clicked on it and it took me to another web page. There we go. I like the look of this blue one here. That's
That
nice.
is cool. That is really cool. I bet it's expensive AF.
$300. That's not too bad.
Oh, gosh. Wow.
But yeah, if you really good saddles can go from anywhere from a few $100s to a few $1,000. And when you're getting
Yeah.
into those $1,000 ones, you know that the horse is going to be nice and comfortable when you're riding it.
Well, geez, I mean, with the blankets underneath, I would hope that they're comfortable
Yeah,
regardless. But I mean, I guess you can like get them customized and stuff like that.
yeah.
Be even more comfortable.
This is the more English
Those look like
style.
English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you think about when you think English style horses or
They do
saddles.
seem a little more flipped up in the back than I remember, but it's been many, many, many years. So I don't know.
A lot of the times, if you see this type of saddle, the horse will be trained in dressage, whatever that actually word is.
Mm,
And
the
that's,
fancy feet.
yeah, that's the fancy feet, the prancing about and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
I don't like that. I
yeah,
really don't.
I'm not
What's the
interested
point?
in that as as a person who actually likes horses. I like to ride the horse. I don't like to watch someone make the horse dance.
Right. It is really like cute, but like every time I see horses doing that dumb crap, I'm like, what did it take to get you to learn that? Because there are a lot of like responsible trainers who take their time and are very like humane, but there's a problem out there with trainers who are absolutely brutal and will I just don't want to get into it.
Yeah,
It's
it's like this
if it's
here.
not animal cruelty, it's like borderline, you know?
Yeah,
So it's like I always get suspicious. Like, what did it take for you to train the horse to do that, you know?
these little horse hobble things are part of the training for horses, and they're no one should ever put a chain between horses' feet or any animal's feet at all to try and get them to walk the certain way. I think that's just cruel.
Um,
It's just like when you originally watched Dumbo, how they'd have that big chain on Dumbo's mother's foot. Uh,
mm-hmm.
so yeah, there's always going to be a bad side of any domesticated animals
Yeah, that's
thing.
true. That's very true.
But the vast majority of people who actually like and enjoy horses enjoy the animal as a companion more than just here you are, you're here to do this one
Right.
task.
Right. Like they're
Even
your partner, not
exactly,
your play toy.
even if you go to a horse races, those horses are taken care of like super well off. I mean, they run, they get a whole basically they do one run and then they basically get washed down, cooled off. Everyone's
Mm-hmm.
attending to it, making sure it's brushed out, and that's part of the cool thing about horses is that when you get a horse, you care for the animal as much as possible because horses are so sweet when you actually just spend time with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, even there when at the stables where we used to keep our horses, there was a horse that they're like, yeah, you don't want to go next to this horse, but you treat that horse kindly enough. He was so sweet. He would just walk up to you and just nuzzle you, and yeah.
Oh,
So it's all
they have
just
so much personality.
yeah. It's like the only reason he was uppity is because he liked to make people chase him was the thing. So
Oh no.
so if you were coming
So
up to
they're a
him,
dog in a horse's
pretty
body.
much. So when you were trying to come up to him to get the lead or the harness that goes over their head, not even the bit kind, because the bit is what actually helps you turn the horse's head when you're riding.
Yeah.
And there, don't I'm not even going to go into bits because there are some terrible bits out there. Um,
Mm.
but when you're putting on the lead harness that goes around their head, he literally basically would run around so that you'd chase him because he wanted you to play. So yeah, it was basically a big dog.
Like, on what planet do you think I could keep up with a horse?
Oh.
I can't keep up with a sloth, much less a horse.
Sorry, I needed a drink. All right,
You're fine.
I think we've gone like 12 minutes on just horses alone.
Right, right.
So let's
There
move
are
on.
more pets out
Yep, there
there.
are more pets, and I have to say, I have some of the more farm animal-y type of pets because
You do.
I lived in Kansas. Come on, farms.
Yep.
Well, actually, for the first, all the way up until till now, basically, I lived in a big city. So just recently, we got chickens.
I've wondered about that. It would be so nice to have a constant egg source like that. And chickens are so freaking funny, and I love them so
Oh,
much.
we were having the plumbing done on this house to get it fixed because the pipe had burst, and it was
Mm-hmm.
the sewer pipe inside the basement, so it was terrible. But the thing I found myself doing most often while he was dragging things in and out of the basement was just sitting next to our chicken coop watching these little buggers peck at the ground or waddle around.
They're, like I said, they're just so funny.
Um, so yeah, if I ever get the chance to have a larger piece of land, I want just a big, huge area full of chickens that I can just watch do their chickeny things.
That's awesome. And the back to the egg source thing, like I learned this somewhat recently. It's been something that's going around a lot, but like apparently
Uh oh, she glitched out again. There we go. Now we gotta wait for her to come back. Boom. Um, there we go. I heard you
I
come
am
back.
so over these technical difficulties, man. I'm so over it.
All right.
But what I was trying to bring up was how they don't have to refrigerate eggs because they don't get like, super cleaned, I guess, like they do here. And we have to refrigerate our eggs, but like I guess like when they're fresh from the chicken, you don't have to.
No, because what it is that when the chicken lays the egg, there's actually a somewhat membrane, but basically an
The
antibacterial
coating.
coating on the shell that
Yeah.
once you wash it, you scrub that off. So you don't actually wash your eggs until you're ready to use your eggs. Is basically what it is. Um,
Right.
and once you wash the egg, you really do have to start refrigerating it. There are ways to preserve eggs, like because if you have enough chickens, you'll definitely end up with more eggs than you know what to do with.
Right.
So you end up you clean the eggs, and then you put them in a bucket full of water and something else. I just don't know what else it is because we've never done it.
Hmm.
Um, but in like this year, people have started having, or actually the last few years, people have started having their own personal chickens. So everyone's learning new stuff about chickens and what they're like.
Yeah.
It's like there is a really interesting breed of chicken that is all black, and even the meat is black.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Look how funny some of these look. Oh
I know.
my gosh.
Chickens. You wouldn't expect it,
The
but
the white afro. Like yeah, that one right there.
they are
What the hell?
cool and silly birds.
That's
Uh,
great.
but yeah, all of these different breeds of chickens will get you different types of eggs. Colors of eggs can go anywhere from the brown and white ones that you normally see to
Mhm.
you can find ones that are like a light blue.
Whoa. And those are chicken? Like,
Yeah, chicken eggs. Here's one that's actually purple. Yeah,
is that just like a random little like
yeah.
color defect?
It's not well. It's just a random. It depends on the breed of the chicken, I believe. What color
Oh,
egg you'll
okay.
get, but you can get anywhere from normal
Those
to
are so
speckled.
cute. They're natural Easter eggs.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Oh.
that's some of the fun of having a chicken is that if you actually have a large enough area, which we have a decent sized yard, so we've partitioned part of the yard off for the chickens. Um, and you will go out there, and occasionally you'll just have to walk around and look for the eggs because the chicken decided to roost somewhere, not in the actual coop where you built the little boxes so that they could actually lay the eggs in. No, they roost next to the tree stump that's been dead for years, and they've decided to lay their eggs there. Ah,
Sassy.
yep. Each chicken has its own personality, and it's fun.
Well, Chicken Run was a great movie, so I believe it.
Look at those eggs there, all those colors.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah,
They seem pretty low maintenance too. Like obviously every animal has its own set of like, peak environmental necessities. But like they seem pretty low maintenance as far as like just making them happy,
yeah.
and
The biggest
healthy.
necessity. This is the biggest thing with chickens is that. I'm gonna look at that picture. Um, the biggest thing with chickens is that you have to have enough yard space, and you have to make sure you give them a nice, safe place to lay their eggs.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then they'll eat your grass and they will tear up your yard like crazy. I mean, our chickens have basically made it into a dirt pile, is what they live on now. So
Well,
you,
that's what I picture whenever I picture like chicken coop pens is kind of like a dirt field with
yeah,
the coops inside.
that's why a lot of people who have chickens will move their chicken coops for a little around their yard throughout the year.
Oh, geez,
Um,
that's a lot of work.
the other thing is that because chickens mostly eat bugs and grass, their poop is actually a really good fertilizer. So
Okay,
you'll
makes
move the
sense.
chickens off of that area, and the grass will just immediately start growing back really fast.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Now, recently, like in the last few months, a lot of people have been talking about how their hens have just generally stopped laying eggs.
Oh, is this a Kansas thing
No,
or?
this is nationwide, and um,
Oh.
what a lot of people are finding that is if they switch the feed from actual chicken feed to like goat feed or something like that, the chickens will start producing eggs again.
What?
So, one of the big conspiracy theories is that the government has regulated the chicken food producing companies uh, switch their feed slightly during the winter time so that they stop producing eggs.
They really don't want us to be self-reliant, do they?
And of course, like I said, it's a conspiracy theory. There's no truly proven out things, but
Mm.
our chickens are on the older side, and they hadn't been laying eggs for a while, almost a year. I mean, we have some younger chickens that we have gotten, and they were laying eggs, but we decided to switch over to goat food, and all of a sudden, our older chickens are laying eggs again.
Huh.
So, what's going on there?
Interesting. I mean, it can't be that hard to find someone with the resources to test this food, you know? And
Well,
I that also leads me to a question though. What is the difference like between goat food makeup and chicken food makeup that it's like interchangeable like that?
the thing that a lot of things are different. With chicken feed, it's a very fine granular thing, whereas
Yeah.
goat feed is closer to looks more similar to rabbit and hamster
Pellets.
food. Yeah, it's more pellet like.
I know this because there's a place called United Dairy Farms in Ohio that it's what it sounds like. It's a huge farm and they have a very big barn with like a lot of goats and pigs and animals and things, and you can like put in a quarter in these like machines. It might be
Yep,
more expensive now. I mean, inflation affected everything, right?
yep.
But you put like some change in these machines and it gives you these pellets, like a huge handful of pellets. Sometimes you need two hands, and like you can just walk up to your favorite goat and like hold out these pellets and let it eat from your hand for a little bit, and then you move on to the pig or you move on to the sheep or whatever. And like they have little doors that they can go into the outside pens. And the funniest thing about this is like that's like the barn part of UDF.
Yeah.
I am so dumb. UDF is the gas station. It's a farm and it has farm. Oh my gosh. It's been so long since I've been there. I'll remember that in a second. It's not UDF people. Don't listen to me. Do not listen to me. It is not United Dairy Farm. Jesus. But the main building, which is like, it's kind of shaped like a barn, is like an ice cream parlor, and you go in and they have some like amazing ice cream. And then to the left of that is a putt-putt course. This place is like amazing, and I haven't been
Nice.
in forever and I need to go back. There's like tractors that kids can play on. Like, it's so cool. And I don't remember what it's called. I'll figure that out. You continue though while I die in a hole of embarrassment. uh,
Well, me and my family have been joking about getting some pigs, and of course, you're going to get some pigs. Well, what are you going to name your pigs? Well, my family, we would probably end up raising them to eat, so we were going to name them bacon, ham, sausage, or if you then I said we should get some turkeys too, and we'll name them Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's.
uh,
Uh,
yeah.
so it's like, that's morbid.
Oh, it's called Young's Dairy Farm.
There we go.
Oh, they changed the name. Apparently, it's Young's Jersey Dairy,
Huh.
or maybe it was always that, and we just always called it Young's Dairy Farm. But um, they're kind of similar, very similar names. In my defense, it's a really amazing place in Ohio that goes along with our traveling talk. Uh,
Yep.
it's worth checking out if you're in Ohio or even just passing through. It's a really good time. But yeah, pigs. Pigs, there was a thing going around for a while that like pigs were like the smartest animals on the planet or something, which I mean, I don't know. I guess it's believable, but I
Yeah.
mean, I'm no farmer.
Yep. Well, we do know that the wild hogs that roam Texas, Arkansas, lower Missouri, Oklahoma, those hogs are quite intelligent. They can evade things like no tomorrow, which
Hmm.
which they're also the reason why people, in these states have such a high gun culture, is because these wild hogs will come
Are
and
invasive and
they are very invasive. They will
yeah.
rip to shreds a whole house. If they manage to
Hmm.
actually get into a house, they can actually rip it to shreds, take it down. Um, because I think what happened was that the wild hogs native to the United States bred with some domesticated hogs or pigs,
Mm.
and they just started getting bigger and stronger
Oh,
and meaner.
jeez.
So it is not a safe time in when it's hog rutting season in Texas, Oklahoma, and all of them. And that leads into the gun debate. Why would you ever need a gun that can shoot 30 rounds a minute? Well, it's because these hogs have skulls that are thicker than the average humans, and
Mm.
they will literally rip you apart and eat you. So, I'd like to be able to defend myself from that.
I mean, that's I didn't know that till today. That's a seldom used like excuse, but then again, it's not something I research very much. So I'm not one to talk.
But that's the
I
problem
didn't
with,
even think of that.
well, that's the whole problem with the gun debate between cities and rural communities. The rural communities have to defend themselves from wildlife. And a lot of these animals,
Cities,
yeah, the cities, it's, you know, that
it's each other.
crackhead down the street, he's if he's got a gun, you better stay away from that crackhead. Whereas here it's, yeah, the pigs are all the wild hogs are coming up this about this time of year. They're about about 2 states over, but they're headed this way, so you better get ready.
That's funny.
So yeah, and that's why a lot of these issues and the whole gun debate thing is like, and why the United States has such a big gun culture. One, it is fun to target shoot and try and hit a bullseye with a gun. I mean, that's just
Hmm.
generally fun. I mean, in Europe they skeet shoot. They shoot little
Yeah,
discs out
yeah.
of the air, or
Well
pheasant shoot.
seen.
Yeah. So while we have more of a gun culture here, we also have a reason why to have a gun culture here. All right,
Right.
so let's move off of the gun culture stuff and let's talk about something a little more fun and a little less, farmy. Doggos! The most recent doggo that my family has gotten have been corgis. Oh, look at that fluffy corgi butt. Fluffy corgi butt. And let's see. The
I love the I heart and corgi fur and then the corgi. That is so funny. Oh, it's so cute.
Now, this also comes up with another thing is that our corgi here is, and like I said, I live in a semi-rural area. Um, our dog is so small that we have to walk her. We cannot let her out in the yard or anything like that
Oh.
because birds, foxes, wild dogs will come and
Mm,
attack small animals, and especially as something the size of a corgi. And
yeah.
I mean, I don't live on a farm per se. I live in a small city or town. It's actually more of a it's a gas station with houses around it, basically. But there have been wild dogs that have run up and snatched people's chihuahuas off of their front porch and literally just ripped
Jeez.
it to shreds. So yeah,
Ugh. Ugh.
so you got to be careful when you live in a small town or on a farm or things like that,
Yeah.
because wild animals will attack even your domesticated dogs if they're
Mm-hmm.
small enough. But corgis are
Wild
so
animals
cute.
will be wild animals.
Yep.
My friend Carly had one of those. You passed a picture of one, but it's like kind of blue and white. Like I know it's like gray. It looks gray, but I like to think of that one.
This
Yeah,
one here,
she has one of those, but hers is like a lot fluffier than that. I think that one got shaved or something.
probably.
But yeah, they're cool dogs. I like corgis.
Yep. Corgis are just so cute.
The
They,
only experience with dogs that I've really had was like family dogs. Dogs were way too much for me to have on my own. I did try at one point, but I couldn't keep him. Um, but like when we had family dogs, when they weren't my responsibility 100%, it was awesome. I got really close to this yellow lab named Carmen, and she always have a very, very special place in my heart. In fact, we named her Carmen because when we went out to pick her from the litter, she was like she went to me, like she
yeah,
like was magnetized to me, and we were magnetized to each other, and she was my homie ever since. I love her and miss her so much. um and then along with Carmen, we had a golden retriever named Sophie, and those two were so they they weren't like best of friends. They got along, but they were so different. Like Sophie was a little attention hog, and Carmen just like she liked attention, but she would like rather like hang out and do her own thing, you know?
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
there's some beautiful golden retrievers.
growing up, my family had a black lab. Um,
Ooh,
and here's a
those are
story.
some of the sweetest dogs by far.
They are. When I was 5 years old, I mean, I absolutely loved this black lab. And apparently, I went out in the backyard, and because of how big black lab is, they will jump over almost any fence you have, unless they're like 6 to 8 feet. And all we had was like the 4 foot chain link fence.
Yeah.
So we had to have him on a chain. Well, I apparently got out of the house, walked back there, and was playing with the dog and was trying to give it a hug, and the chain had ended up wrapped around my neck. Um,
Oh, this is why you don't like tight collar
yeah,
shirts. I
it's
remember
yep.
this.
That's why I don't wear tight collar shirts. Why I don't do ties unless I absolutely have to, and even then, the tie is loosened down below my clavicles so that it's not near my neck. Um,
Right.
And for the longest time, I had no idea why I had that compulsion because I completely, basically blacked out that entire episode. And then finally it sunk in because my mom noticed I was always pulling on my collars, and she's like, "Oh, when you were 5, you were out there playing with the dog and you got the chain wrapped around your." Wow, okay, so that explains why I psychologically can't do things near my neck.
Right.
Ah. But you currently have a pet that I would like to get, which is a hog
My snakes.
nose.
Oh, yeah. So, snakes, snakes are so fascinating as long as you're not deathly afraid of snakes. Uh, but they, there's a lot of different breeds you can own. They are nowhere near as dangerous as they look, especially hog noses. So, hog noses, the These are a lot of really cool morphs, but the traditional ones are like kind of brown and gray and yeah, that one next to the pink one. Yeah, that one looks like a plain
Yep.
hognose. Um Western hognose. So they've also been through a few name changes. I think the
Right.
technical term is plains hognose now, but there are multiple kinds. There's a Madagascar hognose and the Eastern hognose and the tricolor hognose. I don't have any of this. I just have regular ones. So, uh, they 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 can have some serious attitudes, and they do this thing. They have a what's called a hood that flares up when they don't like you, or if they're just like feeling scared or anxious or whatever, and they'll hiss and they'll do what's called bluff striking. They want you to think that they're gonna mess you up, but they bluff strike. They'll just bump you with their nose. And if they feel so threatened to an extent that they feel like their life is in danger before they do anything to hurt you, they will play dead. I shit it, you know, they play dead. If you Google hognose play dead, I'm in Facebook groups where people post pictures of their hognose playing dead, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, my snake died today. Whoopsies," you know. And it looks heartless at first, but like when you know what hognoses do as a defense mechanism, they will literally flip on to their back. They will open their mouth gaping wide, and they'll even like kind of like drool to like sell it, you know? They are so funny. Hognoses are amazing, but what made me fall in love with them was their snoots, their little flipped up snoots. Because in the wild, they're burrowers, so that snoot helps them dig into the ground and stuff like that. Um, the both my hognose snakes, I have two. They are a condomorph, which is a reduced pattern morph. They look kind of like that, not in color, but they do look kind of like that one that your mouse is by. Yeah, that one. But there's so many variations, even if they have the same morph, they still look drastically different. The other cool thing about them is that they are both het lavender. And what that means is they have the gene to look lavender. I think some of these pictures are lavender hognose snakes, but they're recessive, so they're not showing. And if I breed them, especially when the girl is old enough and big enough, they could come out purple. On top of that, the condomorph is so unique because if that gene combines with the conda gene from the other snake, you get a super conda, which is not just pattern, like decreased pattern, it's patternless. Like some of these pictures showed them without any spots at all. Um, Let me see. Yeah, that looks like a super conda, but it also looks like
That's a snow, so
a
it's albino.
snow. Yeah. um, I know that my girl conda het lavender is also het albino. Um, as far as I know, the male is not het albino, but if he were het albino, you can end up with a coral hognose, which is like when the lavender and the orangey color combine. The odds are so slim though, because it's all het. The odds would be more improved if they were showing like, dominantly. But um it's just, and every breed of snake has its own set of cool. Oh, that was a plain superconda. If you go up a little more. There you go. Up and to the left a little bit. Left, other left. There
That
you go.
one.
That one. That's a superconda, plain color superconda. So you can see the complete lack of spots, which is really cool. Those are gorgeous snakes. So even if my male and female don't get any of the colors, like the lavender, they could end up with babies cool like that, and then maybe with the recessive lavender gene. Um, so yeah, snakes are really fascinating, and they're not as scary as they look. I know they look terrifying, and I used to be one of those people. But like I took an environmental management, like a vocational program where we had pet snakes in the classroom, and having that exposure and like warming up to them like really helped me. I think we had ball pythons though, which are much bigger snakes. I love hognoses as well because they don't grow that huge. Like I think females grow to a max of, oh, what was it, 3 to 5 feet or 4 to 6 feet or something like that. I can't remember, but they don't
No.
get
Yeah.
very big as far as snakes go, which is very helpful for pet keeping. Um, but yeah, I totally understand how they look so freaking scary, and they're designed naturally to be as scary as they can, whether or not they actually are dangerous or not, you know. It is definitely not advisable to like start like, picking them up out of the wild without knowing what you're doing, but
Yeah.
um but still they're not as bad as people think. Ooh, that line down the back. So that albino is that is a super conda, even though it has the line. It's just extremely low expression or high expression conda without being completely patternless. I love super condos so much. And I think the one above it, oh no, that looks like there are a couple that I get mixed up. It's sometimes it's really hard to tell what they are.
Well,
But the white one,
the top
it
one
looks like
there.
it's xanthic, I want to say.
Nope, it's supposed to be a super
Arctic,
lavender.
a super lavender,
Yeah, it's a super
really?
conda lavender.
Oh, a super condo. Okay, okay. Yeah. It's very bright. Oh, I love it.
Yep.
That's what I want. Those sell for a pretty penny too.
I like the contrast between them. You know,
Yeah.
this bright orange versus this white purpley colored one.
Right,
Very
right.
beautiful.
Um, hognoses even have colors that aren't genes. They're just kind of natural, like inclinations, you could say. I forget what the technical term for it is, but there are what's called purple line hognoses that like um they appear uh purpley, but there's no like gene attached to that. It's just kind of like how they are. And there's a bit of a debate in the community about like inbreeding because the best way to bring out those colors I've heard, and I could be wrong.
Oh, did we lose you again? I believe what she's about to say is that with the breeding, you can actually breed a male child back to its parent, a female parent, and the debate about is how far you can go about whether or not it's safe for the snakes, um, and stuff like that. I'll wait for her to get back, and then we'll probably wrap up the episode as soon as she's back. Waiting, waiting, waiting. Um, but yeah, I've been fascinated about snakes as well. In fact, I'm the one who actually introduced her to a YouTube channel called Snake Discovery. Um, and that's where I learned about hognoses. Of course, she beat me to it, actually getting a snake. I live with my sister and her kids, so getting a snake or a reptile like that is probably a no go. So, yep. Doobie doobie doo. Waiting on you. Oh, there she goes. Welcome back.
I'm about to yeet something.
That's all right. We'll probably end the
Computer's
episode
too
here.
expensive. I may eat something. What was the last thing you heard?
You were talking about line breeding.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess it's not as like harmful to snakes and reptiles as it is in mammals and stuff like that. But some people are obviously like very against it regardless. Um, but there are some colors that are only like mainly accentuated by breeding, like purple
Yeah.
line, and there's a couple others that I can't remember what. But yeah, I love hognoses. They're my favorite.
Yep. And sadly, we're going to have to wrap things up there because we're at 45 minutes. So I want
Oh,
to.
okay.
Yeah, we kind of went over this one, which always makes up for when we have a lackluster Wednesday episode. So,
Yeah.
all right. Gonna do the sign out, which is thank you so much for watching or listening or whatever you're doing. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and all the doodly doos, and follow us. And is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
I want to hear about your pets. We all have unique pet stories. Maybe you've never had pets, don't like them, don't need them, and that's fine too. I want to hear your perspective on that. But uh, pets are awesome and they really enrich our lives, and I want to know what your pets are like. So let us know below.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye.